Hi kids, welcome to Story Time. It's story time with me, Miss Preethi from the team I Spy Hope. And today's story is called But It's Not My Fault. The story is written by Julia Cook. Now, this story is a beautiful one, and before I take you through it, I want to ask you a simple question. When anything happens, either at home or at school, do you ever find yourself making excuses? But it's not my fault. I didn't do it because it rained. I didn't do it because I was playing. I forgot, right? We all have these different excuses on why we didn't do certain things. Now let's look at today's story. My name is Norman David Edwards, but everybody calls me Noodle. Sometimes things happen to me that get me into trouble. But it's not my fault. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed, and it's not my fault. Seems like I'm the only one that ever gets caught. He did it again. Noodle did it. Teacher, quit it. Yesterday, I didn't get my math homework done. So this morning, my teacher made me stay in from recess and do it. Rats! But it wasn't my fault. Last night, I had to go to my big brother's basketball game and it went into overtime. And by the time I finally got home, it was too late to do my homework. So my mom made me go to bed. Do you see that? His mom made him go to bed, and that's why he didn't do his homework. What do you think? After recess, we all headed to the library to work on our science reports. Since my teacher wouldn't let me go to recess, I had lots of extra energy. I felt kind of twitchy. And on the way down the hall, I jumped up and tried to touch the light. On the way down, Marigold got in my airspace and her head hit my arm. Isn't that funny? He jumps, but he says that she got in the way and her head hit his arm. Ouch! Teacher, Noodle hit me. But it's not my fault. You didn't let me go out to recess and my legs needed to jump. It wasn't my fault that my arm did it, and it was just a little jump, you know. I got sent to the end of the line. Rats. Then, when I got to the library, I couldn't work on my report on the duck-billed platypus because the media specialist wouldn't let me check out the book that I needed. Noodle, you can't check out the new book until you bring your overdue book back. What do you think Noodle said? But it's not my fault. I looked in my backpack this morning as soon as I got to school, but my mom didn't remind me to put it in there. So please, can you bend the rules? Do you think the rules will get bent? Nope. Oh, rats. Noodle is sad again. In PE, Ross Gray tripped me on purpose. And then he laughed at me when I fell down. So, I pushed him over. Teacher! Noodle pushed me. What does Noodle say? But it's not my fault. Yes, it's not my fault. Let's see what Noodle says this time. Ross Gray tripped me on purpose, and that made me really feel bad. And then he laughed when I fell, which made me really mad. Noodle did it. He did it again. My hands were so mad that they pushed him, even though my brain told him not to. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed, and it's not my fault. Seems like I'm the only one that ever gets caught. And then throughout the day, let's see what happens to Noodle. Noodle, please stop talking. But it's not my fault. Georgie talked to me first. Noodle, please stop lollygagging. But it's not my fault. I was born this way because the pencil sharpener needed to be emptied. Noodle, you just interrupted again. You know how you interrupt in class? But it's not my fault. My mouth is addicted to talking. What is Noodle saying? Noodle, you don't stick your tongue out at other kids. What do you think Noodle said? But it's not my fault. Let's see why. TJ did it to me first, and then he stared at me, so I had to do it back to him. Besides, it doesn't say that we can't do this in the school handbook. Sticking your tongue out. Is that a rule that's written in the school handbook? Is it there in your diary? You must check today. Just as my teacher was about to say, Noodle, for the 50,000th time, the bell rang. Phew. Noodle, my teacher said, please stay for a minute so that we can talk. The teacher's asking Noodle to stay. Oh, rats! I'm going to hear something again. Noodle, today you had a really rough day. But it wasn't my fault. Noodle, there are no buts in my sentence. Today you had a really rough day, and tomorrow is a brand new day. I can't wait to see what you can do with tomorrow. So, have a safe walk home. The teacher didn't say anything? She didn't say today was a day, but you did this, you did that? I wonder. When I walked into my house, my mom gave me the unibrow. I could tell just by the way she looked at me that I was in trouble. Oh, rats! Noodle, your teacher emailed me and told me that today at school you had a really rough day. But it wasn't my fault. I didn't get my homework done because the game went late and you made me go to bed. My teacher wouldn't let me go out to recess and my legs needed to jump. Then Marigold got in my airspace and her head hit my arm. I couldn't do my report on the buck-billed platypus because the media specialist wouldn't let me check out the book that I needed because you forgot to remind me to put my overdue book in my backpack this morning. And then Ross Gray tripped me and laughed when I fell down, and that made my hands mad. Then Georgie talked to me first. The pencil sharpener needed to be emptied, and you know me, my mouth is addicted to talking. it's not my fault. And of course, it doesn't say in the school handbook that I can't stick my tongue out at people. Besides, I had to, TJ was staring at me. And he did it to me first. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed. And it's not my fault. Seems like I'm the only one that ever gets caught. Poor me. Noodle, I'm not talking about whose fault it is, Mom said. I'm talking about whose responsibility it is. Huh? Responsibility? You are responsible for the things that you do, for your choices at home and your choices at school. Blaming others is a reason, but it's not an excuse. If you keep playing this game, you surely will lose. You are in charge of letting me know when you have homework. You are in charge of returning your library books. And you are in charge of your legs, your arms, your hands, your mouth, and your voice, and your tongue. Today, you made a few mistakes, and it caused your day to be rough. But don't blame others for your poor choices, because that will make your life tough. Instead, focus on what needs to be done whenever you make a mistake. Own up and become more responsible for the choices that you've made. Doesn't that make a lot of sense what Noodle's mother is saying? Let's see what Noodle does. Noodle's mother continues saying, Noodle, everybody makes mistakes, and mistakes can be a good thing because every time you make one, it gives you a chance to learn something, Mom said. But if you blame other people for your mistakes, you give away your chances to learn. Don't make an excuse when you do something wrong. Just own it and say, Yep, I did that. Now, what can I do to improve my situation? Noodle, I love you with all my heart, and I wish I could solve all your problems for you, but I can't. My job is to teach you to become your own problem solver. The next time you make a mistake, on the inside, think, Yup, that was me. It's going to be hard, but like everyone says, the good stuff in life is not free. If you're brave enough to own your mistakes, imagine how great you'll become. You'll learn a lot, you'll make better choices, and your life will be so much more fun. Don't be a blamer, you're better than that. Use your mistakes to help you grow. And get rid of the phrase, but it's not my fault, and show the world how much you know. Maybe my mom was right. Maybe I was blaming others for my mistakes. Yeah, I guess I did make a few wrong choices today. As soon as I got to school the next day, I went to the library and turned in my overdue book and checked out the book that I needed for my report on the duck-billed platypus. When I walked into my classroom, my teacher put her arm around me and whispered, Noodle, yesterday you had a really tough day, but today is a brand new day. I can't wait to see what you can do with your today. Then she said, "Class, it's time for me to collect the rough drafts of your science papers." When she got to my desk, I said, "Oh, do you think Noodle would have said, 'But it's not my fault'?" Let's see what he says. Noodle says, "I don't have mine done, but it's going to be done by tomorrow morning. I just checked out the book that I needed." Way to go, Noodle! You did it! You took responsibility for your actions. I am so proud of how brave you are. As a reward, I'm going to give you an extra day to get your rough draft done. When you hand it in tomorrow, it won't be counted as late. But see what Noodle says. But my brother has another basketball game tonight, and I guess I won't be going. Oh, rats! That's the story of Noodle and his favorite phrase in the world. But it's not my fault. Isn't it beautiful how Noodle has turned that phrase around and taken responsibility for anything that doesn't happen his way? I hope you enjoyed the story, and I can't wait to bring you another story in our next story time. Until then, keep having a lot of fun learning and have a wonderful day. Thank you.